Hello, everybody. My name is Brigid O'Shea. Some of you might know me. I've been a frequent guest at the Durban Film Mart, and also I'm a huge fan of African documentaries, both made by people on the continent as well as in the African diaspora across the world, including the Caribbean and USA. We are here today to record a session for the CineDB Insights, which is an offspring of the CineDB.Africa conversation series, a series of in-depth encounters with film professionals from the continent that was developed by a group of African curators as part of the CineDB.Africa project of the Goethe Institute, and is now accessible through the e-portal of the Durban Film Mart Institute, the new home of CineDB.Africa. But it's not about me today. It's about my dear colleague and comrade, Jane Mote, who's joining us from the Whickers. Good morning, Jane. How are you?
Hello. Hi. Nice to see you in this new year.
Yes. Happy New Year. 2023, it indeed is. Would you like to maybe just start by telling us about yourself? Who are you in the world? How do we know each other? Tell us more about Jane.
Okay, well, I'm a journalist by trade. I worked at the BBC for a long time and set up and ran BBC London before going into commercial television, and then running Al Gore's documentary channel Current in the UK and Europe. And then I went on and did my own thing for a while, set up my own production company. And most recently and most wonderfully, in the last 7 years, I've been editorial consultant for the Whickers. So I have been helping to find and source amazing new emerging talent around the world to put them up for a Whickers Awards. And our paths have crossed many wonderful times, Brigid, as we go about trying to ignite and excite the documentary world to be braver, to tell the stories authentically by people who have something to say, and to share those stories across the world.
Great, great. And so now specifically about the Whickers, where and how do you support filmmakers? What does your organization focus on?
Okay, well, our main funding award is for a TV and film fund, and we announce that in October. We open in October every year, and then we close our applications at the end of January, and that is for a large cash prize of £100,000. You have to work that out in whichever currency you're in, to our winner. We select 5 projects and we pay for those projects and those teams to come to Sheffield Documentary Festival, and they receive some pitch training, and the winner gets the 100,000, and there's a runner-up development prize of £20,000. So that's our main sort of feature in the year. But in addition to that, we've recently started to launch some bursaries to help people in parts of the world where it's a little bit harder to get started, to get those materials that you need to even be able to apply to funds like ours. And we also run an audio documentary funding program as well. But really, I think the best thing for us is that we get to a lot of festivals and we get to meet a lot of people, and the more that we meet people and can explain how the fund works, the better chance actually they've got when they apply of understanding what it is we're after, and more likely to be successful.
Where are you scouting for projects from the continent of Africa or African filmmaking talents?
So I have some contacts myself. I've worked with Femi Odukabemi at IREP Festival in Lagos. I've been at Good Pitch in Kenya, and of course Durban Film Mart, and I've participated in that market as an industry representative. And last year we were so excited to announce our partnership with the Whickers. So we've actually launched a bursary for Africa, which we work together in partnership with Durban Film Mart to offer the chance for very, very new talent to get £3,000 that will help them to get started on their projects, and also gives them recognition as a Whickers awardee at an early stage, so that people realise that they've got something about them. And we've committed to do that for a minimum of 3 years.
This is really great. And so are those bursaries granted like once per year? Is there an open call? How do filmmakers maybe access those bursaries?
We do all of our bursaries. So we've now got bursaries we started in India and Dockage, Kolkata, and then we've expanded to close up for the Middle East, and also just very recently launched in Latin America with Chile Connector. And all of the bursaries are run through the partnership organizations. So they manage the relationships to get the message out there, and they select projects that we can then meet during pitches and one-to-ones at the market. So I think the most important thing for people to do is to look out for those calls from those markets. So make sure that you've really looked at what Durban's up to, and respond to that. But of course, that's for the bursary. If you want to go straight through to looking at applying for our main fund, then you can connect to me or any one of the team.
Maybe before we move on, we should watch the new Whickers trailer.
Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you for prompting me. So this just gives us an idea of the sorts of films that we funded, and the range of styles of what we do. So let's have a quick look at this. Thanks for the reminder.
Okay, start.
My way of deflecting this is to use the camera.
My family story is inseparable from the story of my country, even though I've never really lived there.
I can give a phone number to 10 families that I personally know that all lost their child in the last 2 years.
I think if you love the land, it sort of loves you back.
家体丰胸直播，韩校院长亲自主导。Here in Jackson Hole, life is under control.
I want to forget the pain we've been through together.
It's really stranger than any incredible work of fiction that one could have written. Good.
Amazing work so far. Congratulations. But then this is a perfect moment to ask you. Tell us about the favorite films that you've supported while working for the Whickers or working with the Whickers.
Do you know what? We love them all, obviously. Are like our children, and our alumni are so important to us, and they continue to go on from strength to strength. From the very first winner, Alex Beskaby, who's now just had a big TV series out and a new book, to Pylon Wadel from Hope Frozen, who was our Thai winner many years ago, and of course very recently launched at Berlinale, premiered at Berlinale last year, No Simple Way Home, with Akwal Demobir, who's from South Sudan, and her film, which was originally called Nyandeng, and then now is called No Simple Way Home. And her journey was incredible. And I should have mentioned earlier on, one of the big touch points for us as well has been Steps, and the Generation Africa platform as well, with Tiny and Don, and the work they've done to establish proper network and connections for people to nurture talent and films and to bring them to the fore has been amazing. And we worked with them at a very early stage to say, we're really interested in who you've got coming through. And they encouraged people like Aqual to apply to us in the same way, actually, that Chicken and Egg, we had a partnership with them, and Melissa Tantu came through that as one of our bursaries with Chicken and Egg. And I think it's really important. We're only tiny in the market, and it's really important for us to work with others to get the message out there that we are open. And when Aqual applied, you know, she had never made a film in her life. She was very, very new to it all. Obviously, she had the wonderful Soko Sam behind her, but an amazing cast of women in her production team. And what was amazing about her was how much she learned, even in the process of applying, of pitch training, and she absorbed everything and never stopped thinking and thirsting for more knowledge, and had has an amazing humility about her, despite the fantastic achievements that she's had through the process of making the film. And that's what I think, when people start on filmmaking, we're looking as much for their story as for the director's character, their strength of character, their ability to be open to learning, their ability to analyze and listen to input, but still have their own drive for what they're trying to achieve. And in fact, I could show you a little bit of Aqual's pitch, if she doesn't mind. I hope not. It was during COVID, so it was online. So we have a recording of it. And I just think it's interesting for anybody who's pitching to remember to be really honest about themselves and their motivations, and to talk from the heart. And I think this is what Aqual is doing in this clip. So good, let's go for it.
I've struggled to place myself in the film because there are truths that I don't know how to share yet, like how afraid I am for my mother. My father died right after becoming vice president. I remain silent about my fears because they get in the way, and bigger things have always been happening above me. Just before my father died, we had been swept up in this whirlwind of events, and little 16-year-old me dared to ask my parents a question. Is everything going to be okay? It sounds innocent and forgettable, but duty dictates that you don't ask such questions. With so much at stake, there's no room for doubt. It's taken me 15 years to start facing and forming questions that I didn't know I needed to ask. I believe that some of these questions will resonate first with a young generation of Africans and alienated dreamers everywhere. Questions for our parents and questions for our leaders. Can my mother's generation of freedom fighters really build a country in which my dislocated generation can lead meaningful lives? A country that can nourish our big dreams, a country we can call home.
Great little clip to show really kind of the extreme version of, like, it's not only that I can't do it all, but I'm on this journey asking myself these deeply personal and hard questions, and I need the support of an international community to go with me on that journey. Super great. Super great.
Yeah. And not all of the stories, and most of the stories that we fund are not personal stories like Aqual's. That they might be, you know, like Lizzie, who was a runner-up, who did Hermit of Treeg, which was about the hermit who lives in the middle of nowhere in Scotland, but her relationship with him, which was what made the film. And I think it's the sense that this film can only be made by that director. And that's why I think it's important when you're approaching applications and you're talking to us to talk about what your motivation is, because making your first film is so hard. And if you're not a driven person with a real passion for what the story is and wanting to tell that story, then it's going to be very hard for you to reach your goal. It's incredible how much work people put in to get their first film to happen. And because they're often not known when they're first timers, there's a lot more risk involved in that. And that's why funds like ours are so important, because there aren't many that fund people at the early stage that we fund.
When maybe a filmmaker that you haven't met, who's not on your radar, is contacting you, what do you like to be inside that email? What's good information for you to work with?
I think a little bit about themselves. Like, you asked me about myself at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
We're human beings. We want to connect. What is about themselves that's driving them to tell a story, why this story is so important to them, and a little taster of what the story is, the journey that they're starting on. I'm really happy if there are questions that just need a quick answer. I mean, I won't always be able to hop on a Zoom because it's very time consuming, but I'll always be able to reply to an email as a starting point. Yeah, a rough cut from scratch is quite a big ask, but some footage is great. And, even if people haven't got very far with their footage, even stills that show the characters, because it's about characters as well. We're really looking for strong characters, whether it's themselves and their family or whether it's people that they want to bring their stories out to the world.
How do you think we can support African filmmaking talents?
Well, you absolutely nailed it, actually, because I think Africa is one of the most exciting places for storytelling. It goes back so long, and the ways of storytelling are very unique to each of the countries. I'm really encouraged by what's happening in Africa by Africans. I've worked many years ago with Mote, who set up Ebony Life, and her passion and drive to get Africans telling their own stories in their own way, crewed by their own staff, is absolutely the way to go. And there are so many more people like her across the continent, from east to west, north to south, and I'm really encouraged by that. And I feel like it's my job to be there as a backstop, to be there as a catalyst, to give people those opportunities. I'm also involved with I Am Native, which is a platform that will give opportunities for countries outside Africa to commission work from African filmmakers rather than go there themselves. And I think it's important that people are trusted on the continent to do a great job because they are so skilled. And for people not to think that they can just come in and film whenever they like, that there are plenty of people there who can do that in a very authentic way for them. So it's all about building the skills from within in Africa, which is, I think, the important way to go. And then the best stories will come through with the greatest directors. And we're starting to see that already. And I feel really optimistic that there's a wave about to hit us all, and the world had better wait, because those stories are going to be incredible.
Super. Thank you so much for your time today on this very bleak European January morning.
Yeah, we've all had to get our false lights on today because there's no light.
Exactly. But it's been very nice talking with you. I wish you all the best of luck for this year and a great cohort of Whickers nominees and award winners for 2023.
Thanks very much. Let's hope there's lots of African projects in the mix.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.